talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. My name is Tristan, and I'm in second grade, and I asked my teacher to show me an experiment where water curves. She couldn't do it because it doesn't curve. The water always finds its level.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it.
Rip this up for sound bites. This is awesome.
Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study. You are here once again with me, Karen B., and Just Jack Flat Earth. What's up?
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It is
The earth is
episode
indeed
30.
still flat.
What's that?
Sorry for talking over you. I said, yep, it's still flat. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's okay. Just saying that today is episode 30. It is February 12th, 2022. You know, just for documentation purposes.
We're in the midst of the 12th month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're checking to see if spring catches up for the new year pretty soon, here in a month or two. So I'll be observing, looking for the agricultural proof along with the celestial signs. So we'll see what happens.
It's starting to feel like, I feel like spring is coming. It's starting to
I can
warm
feel
up.
it. I can feel it
Yeah.
creeping up my neck. Yep.
Yeah, the birds were out yesterday chirping. It was very do 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 yesterday.
Yep.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's coming.
awesome.
Yeah, we're probably, I think we're actually I can look at it right now. We're 88% illuminated. So,
Yeah, very
you
close to
know,
full moon.
yeah, it's getting close to the full moon. Full moon is mid-month. And then as far as Torah is concerned, 1 month into the first month, you wait for the full moon again. And that full moon is when we have Passover and unleavened bread. So if you want to know more about that, you can go to Just Jack Flat Earth channel and watch interviews and hangouts. And I did a good one with What's It Gets It on the calendar. Very extensive, full of information. I get spiraling because there's a lot of people on a lot of different calendars. I'm a Torah only guy as far as my calendar recognition is. Okay. So that's good. And I'll give a disclaimer since people have opinions and they're entitled to them. All right. Just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then this stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language, using concordances or dictionaries for root words, as well as context from a non-religion perspective. And we have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There you go.
All right. There we go. All right.
So yeah, religion contradicting scripture would be like, this is the 12th day of the second month of the year. That's religion contradicting scriptures and reality, really. Because most people will admit that spring makes more sense for the beginning of the year.
Yes, it certainly does.
So, it is a religious thing. It started with the Julian calendar and then extended by Pope Gregory the Dragon for the Gregorian calendar. That's where we get it, Pope Gregory the Dragon. I mean, people who are into Christianity know that the dragon is a sign of evil. So why would this quote-unquote Pope declare himself the Pope of the Dragon and create a new calendar? I'm just saying, though.
Right. Dang it, I just messed up my Skype window. Hold on one sec.
Dope.
It's all good.
And we had a little bit of a setup to deal with today because I got a new PC. Thank you, wife, for supporting me and giving me a computer that's going to help me with work and with the Torah stream. So,
yes. Thank you, wife.
Indeed.
Okay, so recap of 42 because we did not do a stream last week. So
Correct.
I would like a little brush up myself. And 42 was a longer one.
Indeed.
Was a longer chapter. So
the previous chapter to this one is where he was talking to the Pharaoh and interpreted his dreams and said there's going to be 7 years of woohoo, look at all this food,
right,
to 7 years of remember when we used to grow food?
Yeah.
Right. So, it's gone across the land, including into the land of Canaan, where his family is staying, his father and his brothers. So they're coming into Egypt to get food.
Right.
And Joseph kind of played a little trick on them by, basically saying, you guys are spies and I don't believe your story about having another brother, et cetera, et cetera. And he says, you got to come back with your brother to prove that you have one. And I'm going to take one of your brothers and keep him captive, keep him as a what do you call it? Wow, brain fart. You can't have him back until you come back with your brother.
Right. It's like
Not hostage,
collateral.
not hostage, but what's the other word? I can't think of it.
Collateral.
Collateral. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. So yeah, he was holding him as collateral to prove that his brother is off in his father's land.
Right. Okay.
And his father's like, why are you going to take this youngest son that I love after I lost the other son that I love, which was Joseph? And so, yeah, he's like, please don't do that. And he sent them off with silver in their bag. I think it did mention that, right?
Yeah, that their money was restored.
Right.
Right. So they
The
went
money,
there to
the
buy
money that
grain.
they used to go buy the grain.
So they went to and to get grain from, was it Joseph?
Yep.
Yeah, get grain from Joseph, and then he gives them the grain and the money back, but he keeps their
Right.
brother.
Right. Yeah, and they don't know that the money is in their sack until they get all the way back home to their father.
Right, to pull
'Cause he
out
put
the
'em-
grain that they bought.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, for all he could have done something sneaky, like put the silver like in the bottom of the sack of grain, so when you go into the grain,
Yeah,
money
you don't
comes
see it
out.
until you dump it. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. That's what it appears to be. It appears that, like, he put him back in the bag, and then you're reading through 43 now. Don't give him,
Oh, is it
what's it called?
43? Oops.
Yeah, no spoilers. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, okay, so at the end there, I didn't remember that part, but yeah, he was speaking to them in the Egyptian tongue using an interpreter.
Right.
He could understand what they were saying, but he played it off like,
But he acted like
I'm
he
not the
couldn't.
same dude as you.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
he had to hide his identity, or else they could have figured out who he was, right? So
Right. Exactly.
he talks
And
to
I
an
mean,
interpreter.
he did, cut his hair like the Egyptians. It did mention that in the previous chapter. So, I mean, he did look like an Egyptian, which, I don't want to get into that too much, but he wasn't looking very manly. Let's put it that way. All right. So we can go into 43 whenever you're ready.
All right. So, yeah. So the last line, but he said, my son is not going down with you, for his brother is dead and he is left alone. If any harm should come to him along the way in which you go, then you would bring down my gray hair with sorrow to Sheol.
And Sheol is just the grave.
Yeah.
The land of the dead.
So he's basically saying, if you don't bring my boy back, you're going to kill me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not, he's not going to be brought down to the demon-infested underworld, okay? I'm just saying. Anyway.
All right. So, moving on, chapter 43. But the scarcity of food was severe in the land.
Yeah, so the severe, I wanted to... I mean, this is not too important, but it kind of has a perspective to the entirety of Scripture. So the word for severe is the word kavod, and kavod means heavy, and it, like, most specifically in the physical form means liver, because the liver is the heaviest organ of the body. So, it's got a lot of weight to it, right? So it's heavy. And this is the same word as glory, right? So now I'm going to quote King James Version style now. This is not how I would say it at all, but it says, when the glory of the Lord came into the temple, blah, 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 blah. It's actually the heaviness of Jehovah, right? So you could feel the weight of the presence of the Creator. You understand what I'm saying? It's not just the glory where it's like, oh, everything's shiny and shimmery. No, it's weight. You feel it, okay? So the hunger or the famine was heavy in the Eretz. All right.
And it came to be, when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Mitzrayim, that their father said to them, go back, buy us a little food.
Right. And if you remember, we had a similar verse last time where the same word is used for the grain and for the buying, right? Because it's the bursting forth of the grain exchange, right?
Right.
So it could be just the grain or it could be the exchanging of grain.
Mm-hmm. But Yehuda spoke to him, saying, the man vehemently warned us, saying, you do not see my face unless your brother is with you.
So the first amount of grain they got, and his father Yisrael says, "You're not bringing Benjamin back, otherwise it's going to kill me."
Mm-hmm.
But now they're running out of grain. Now everybody's going to die
Right.
unless they go back with his brother.
Right. But if you let our brother go with us, we go down and buy food. But if you do not let him go, we do not go down, because the man said to us, you do not see my face unless your brother is with you. And Yisrael said, why did you do evil to me to inform the man that you still had another brother?
Like, why did you even tell him?
Yeah. And they said, the man kept asking about us and our relatives, saying, is your father still alive? Have you another brother? And we informed him according to these words. How could we know that he would say, bring your brother down?
Right.
And Yehuda said to Israel, his father, send the boy with me, and let us arise and go and live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself shall stand guarantee for him. From my hand you are to require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not delayed, truly by now we could have returned the second time.
Word. Like now, because we were not leaving with our brother, we've run out of grain.
Yeah.
We could have already been back, not been out,
Yeah.
But he's saying, if we don't come back with Benjamin, then it's on my head. Like you can, he's basically saying you can take my family hostage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like everything I have, the land that you've given me, the land that I work, all that goes back to you. So.
Yes. And their father Israel said to them, if so, then do this. Take some of the best fruit of the land in your vessels, and bring a present down for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds.
Okay, so this is a lot. Okay, so this verse right here has a lot of Hebrew words that you can check out and look into. So
Mm-hmm.
remember this, people that are watching 4311. Breaking down these different words that he tells them. For instance, the choice produce is that which is plucked. So you have regular harvest, but this is specifically plucked out good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look into the crushing is that which is crushed by the continuing of the palm to the sign. So it's like you're crushing things down.
Right.
Right. So that's spices.
Right.
Honey and the word, literally the word, is from the same root word. And myrrh is something that covers up because it's a spice or oil that even they use it to bury the dead because it covers up the smell of the dead.
Mm.
It's a very pungent smell. I don't like it. I've smelled myrrh before. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
But the next one, which one is it? Nuts. It says
Mm-hmm.
nuts.
Nuts and
They're
almonds.
literally
Yeah.
called the wombs. So that's kind of interesting,
Mm-hmm.
If you think of the nut as a little womb and then inside is the seed,
Right.
it's interesting. And then the last one is almond, but it's actually, the shape of the eyes. So it can be translated as, watching. And so this is one of those verses where it's definitely all about the context.
Mm-hmm.
That could get very confusing. To cover with the womb while you're watching, right? It can get really convoluted,
Right. Wow. And take double silver in your hand, and take back in your hand the silver that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. It could have been a mistake. And take your brother, and arise, go back to the man.
Okay, so what is he talking about? The silver back in the mouth of your sacks? It could have been a mistake.
He's talking about the money that they got back,
Right.
the silver.
He's like, I don't want them to think that we robbed them, right?
Right.
Like you could say, oh, we didn't know the silver was in there and we made sure we brought it back. Yeah.
Yeah. And El Shaddai give to you a compassion before the man, so that he shall release your other brother from Benjamin, your other brother and Benjamin, and I, if I am bereaved, I am bereaved.
Now, this compassion is actually like a gut feel. So that's kind of interesting as well. Because there's another word that they use for grace or compassion that's a different Hebrew word. That's more like, you find beauty in the eyes of, like you find favor. But this compassion is more like a gut feeling, like, you feel sorry for them in your gut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Compassion type of deal.
All right.
And see, these nuances, like in American perspective, it wouldn't make a difference. But like, there's a different kind of compassion. Like, oh yeah, I like them. I'll take care of them. Or man, I got a gut feeling about taking care of this, individual or whatever.
Right. And the man took that present and Benjamin, and they took double the amount of silver in their hand, and arose and went down to Mitzrayim and stood before Yosef.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just going to close that window so it stops making sound.
I didn't even see the window on my end.
Well, you won't see it, but if you did, you hear the dong? It's like Facebook alert. Okay. And Yosef saw Benjamin and them with them, and said to the one over his house, bring the men home and make a great slaughter, and prepare, for these men are to eat with me at noon.
Okay, so this is the first time he's seeing Benjamin grown. So we're talking about, it's been, longer than 7 years, right? 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. So we don't know exactly the number of years. It's at probably, 10, 12 years now.
Yeah.
So Benjamin is like grown, he only knew him as a baby or a small child. So this is a whole introduction. And the noon is the time of the shine, right? It's the highest shiny time. Right. It's the last word in that sentence. Mm-hmm. And if you remember when we built, when he asked Noah to build the ark, that he said put a window in it. Right. Well, it's actually this word, put a shine in it, so that if you think about where noon is, what the shininess and the high time, most likely the window was like at the top, right, of the ark.
Right. Which would make sense.
Yeah, it was noonish.
And the man did as Yosef said, and the man brought the men to Yosef's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought into Yosef's house, and they said, it is because of the silver which was put back into our sacks the first time that we are brought in, to throw himself upon us and fall upon us, to take us as slaves, our donkeys too. And
it's he's gonna roll over on us, right? Which is funny. When I was translating this, when I was reading this, it reminds me of like today's vernacular, like, oh, he rolled on us, right? Mm-hmm. Like he sold us out, so it's kind of interesting that we still use that kind of a weird vernacular, that term.
Ancient Hebrew slang.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So they came near to the man over the house of Yosef, and spoke to him at the door of the house, and said, "O my master, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. But it came to be, when we came to the lodging place, that we opened our sacks and saw each man's silver in the mouth of the sack, our silver in its weight, and we have brought it back in our hand." And we have brought down other silver in our hands to buy food. We do not know who put our silver in our sacks. But, he said, peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your Elohim and the Elohim of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. Your silver...
Okay. Oh, go ahead. Finish it. Sorry.
Your silver had come to me, and he brought Shimon out to them.
Yeah. So, he's blaming the fact that they still have their silver on their Elohim and the Elohim of their father. Okay. So he's still undercover, and he's saying that's y'all's deity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this whole and again, this is still the Elohim, as in it could be the majestic plural, quote unquote, or the collective strong leaders. So this whole thing, he's saying that your silver had come to me, and your Elohim had prompted me to give your silver back. And I see a typo there; it's Giphy, not gift. So. And that's right in the dead center.
Oh, here.
It's kind of Giphy.
Huh.
No, it's gift.
Yeah.
It's a typo.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was saying he was prompted by their Elohim to give him the silver back.
Okay. And the man brought the men to Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys fodder. And they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they were to eat there.
Made the present ready, yeah.
Made the present ready, and that was all the stuff they brought, right? Like the
Yeah.
nuts and the myrrh and the spices and all that.
Yeah, all the gifts, yeah.
Yeah. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house and bowed down before him to the earth. And he asked
Again, renewing the prophecy of his dream, right?
Right.
Which they interpreted. Are we going to bow down to you?
Right. Yes. And he asked
Could
them
be.
about their welfare and said, "Is your father well? The old man of whom you spoke, is he still alive?"
Okay, so he asked them about their shalom, by the way.
Shalom.
Yeah, so is everything completed for peace, right?
Mm. Oh, you mean their welfare?
Welfare, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, shalom is a more, it's more specific for sure. And then here again it says shalom, but they have it as good health, I guess. So.
Yeah. Or well-being.
Yep. Well,
And
it says good health.
Yeah.
In this translation, but the previous was welfare. Right?
Right.
It's still the same
Welfare.
word. I'm just saying they just, welfare is your father well, good health, but it's all shalom, shalom, shalom.
Right. And they said, "Your servant, our father, is in good health. He is
Shalom.
still alive." And they bowed their heads down and did obeisance.
Yeah, they showed their scalp. Yeah. Shalom, a server of yours, to father of ours, is our life. Okay, so, yeah.
All right. And he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Binyamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me?" And he said, "Elohim show favor to you, my son." And
And that being his mother's son, that's Yisrael's favorite wife, gave birth to Joseph and then died giving birth to Benjamin,
Mm-hmm.
which she originally called him son of the struggle, basically, and then he was renamed son of the right hand of Yisrael.
Okay, right. That's right. I remember that. And Joseph hurried, for his emotions were deeply moved towards his brother, and he looked for a place to weep, and went into his room and wept there.
Yeah, and it's the word rolling, because it's the rolling tears.
Wow. So he sees his brother and he just starts bawling.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit. Oh, excuse my language. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to be careful. Like, I know some audience, like, they don't like that stuff, but
Yeah.
he's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be exposed. I got tears welling up. Oh my gosh, where am I gonna hide? Because
Yeah.
he's in a throne room, like in front of everybody. So yeah, imagine that would be rough. It'd be hard to deal with.
Wow. Then he washed his face and came out and controlled himself and said, "Serve the food." So he had to go compose himself.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So go back to 43:31. Okay. So he did the washing of his face, and he purposed out the crumbling. So he was crumbling, and he had to get rid of his crumbling. It's like super severe.
Hmm.
And he controlled himself. No, he purposed out his crumbling.
Right. He had to gain back his composure.
Yeah, he really had to. He had to push it.
And they set him a place by himself, and them by themselves, and the Mitzrites who ate with him by themselves. For the Mitzrites could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Mitzrites.
They do hate and disgust it. Abomination is that word that they use to describe certain foods in later books about, like, swine and mollusks and,
So this is saying that, like, basically, Yosef sits by himself to eat because the Mitzrites don't want to eat with the Hebrew, even though he's second in command. He still eats by himself.
Yep, because he was culturally integrated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he wouldn't dare. Like, he would lose his standing if he was eating with the Hebrews,
Right.
But the only one that can override the cultural standard is the Pharaoh, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at each other in astonishment. And he took portions of them from before him, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs, and they feasted and they drank with him.
So he hooked Benjamin's bag up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And there's more to this story, but we're going to stop there. So,
Right.
like I said, off, when we weren't live, I may pursue translating a little bit more than one chapter, because even though this one is long in its number of verses, the story's kind of short,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we already have the context of who all the characters are, what the mode is going on. A lot of the words we've already discussed, the translations of words. So it's getting there's getting to be less and less meat for me to share with you, because we've gone through so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people that are watching now must realize that we've gone from Genesis 1 to Genesis 43, but there's only 7 chapters left, and we're getting the perspective of what it was like to live. There's a group of people who live according to man's way, and then there's a group of people who live according to the Creator's way. And, as we go through this process, it gets easier and easier to understand.
Yeah.
This was really a good thing that we went through it, like, painstakingly. The first couple of chapters, I talk for minutes about a single word at a time,
Mm-hmm.
because we have to get a context of the perspective, and when people are reading scripture, they can't look at it from a 2022 English or American perspective on how life is lived.
Right.
You can't do that, because you get completely confused, you get thrown off, and then you got other people that are pushing another narrative in the scriptures that's saying, well, yeah, absolutely, whatever is modern overwrites everything from the beginning, which that's nonsense, because then we lose who we are, what we are, where we
Mhm.
are, the whole thing, the same thing as the flat earth, the same thing
Yeah.
as the stories about sicknesses and everything else, where we need to get a perspective of how things were. Like when we get to the next book, Shemot, aka Exodus, where it talks about that if you live according to the way of the Creator, you will not obtain the sicknesses of Egypt. Right? In
Mhm.
other words, you become immune, you know, just by your way of living, what you eat, how you live, all
Right.
these things change your physiology so that sicknesses don't even affect you.
You know what? I find that to be absolutely true.
I mean, even
Today.
people, people that are getting what can I say? Oh, symptoms. We'll just say symptoms. People who are getting symptoms right now, I would encourage you to go to a place that's farther out, where your cell phone signal doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
and chill out in the woods for a few days, and I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you're going to start feeling better.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
Go somewhere
Because
that's EMF quiet.
yeah, we're bombarded
Mm-hmm.
in our area. Even I mean, I live out in the sticks and I'm still bombarded by a lot of, waves and stuff out here. So,
Yeah.
it's you got to get away. That's why they want people to live in cities so they can control people. So,
Yeah. If you're living in a city, you're going to be getting you're going to get the most, obviously, the most EMF pollution.
correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And that messes up not just your physical self, that messes up your real self, your unseen self.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you can project out and the way that you can take in, all of that gets interfered with by these different signals, because it's all unseen existence that's bombarding you. So, aka the Shemayim, aka translated as the heavens. But there's negative heavens and there's positive heavens, if you want if you want to say it like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people think heaven is a place where they go up and play harps and smoke cigars, above the clouds, but that's not what it is. It's the unseen existence all around us. It's another realm that we don't physically see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can see it manifest. I mean, I think, when you see an arc of electricity between two diodes, you're seeing Shemayim manifest in the physical realm. So, as an example, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Well, I'm sure it shows up in other ways too if you just,
Oh
take the
yeah,
time to go around
I
and pay
mean,
attention.
I I've gotten to the point where I'm so and I'm not boasting. This is something anybody can do. It's just about being patient and looking for it. But I can literally like sit still and quiet and look at the sky and see the moving unseen existence above my head. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a static dance. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of, and then if I if I relax enough, I start seeing a grid in the sky, but we won't get into that. But it's just, we have to understand that there's more unseen existence all around us than the physical realm.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to this than what, the whole thing about science is they want everything to be physical, tangible, you know, I'm glitching in my camera. I don't know if I'm pausing. Okay.
No, you're fine.
So there's more to this unseen existence, but science always wants to tell you everything is physical. There's no spiritual realm, if you will. There's no influence of the unseen existence. But yet they manipulate these things to control everything all the time,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
It's
they
just
know
goes,
what's up.
yeah.
They're liars.
Yeah. Energy, frequency, vibration, just
That's right.
once you just keep that in mind, whether you believe Tesla was a real person or not, that whole story was real or not,
That
the
statement's true.
the
Yeah.
statement is true. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, and more there is more frequencies on the electromagnetic scale that we can't see or detect than that we can see and detect with
Right.
our senses. So
Right.
there
Yeah,
that's
we're
that
on
right
a
there should
we're
tell
on a
you that
finite spectrum,
right.
and
So
the
that
spectrum
right
we can't
there
see is way more.
to me is proof that we absolutely are surrounded by unseen existences or
That's
an
right.
unseen existence.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, once you get that down, like everything else starts making sense. We'll just put it like that.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Excellent.
Love you all. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thanks for joining us once again, and we will see you all here back again next week. Next strengthened. I love trying to change the words around.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, the first time you said that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
weekend. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And and Hank was reminding me too that good actually means bad. Remember,
Right.
we've
That's why you want to
discussed
go with
that.
tov, which is functional.
Which is what?
Tov, which is functional.
Tov.
Yep.
Tov. So can we say Tov rising, or Tov?
Sure. I mean, you could say tov yom,
Tov
right?
yom. Oh, I
Which
like
is
that.
functional daylight time, right?
Right.
Or tov lila, which is functional dark time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in Hebrew though, you would say lila tov or yom tov.
Yom Tov or Lila Tov.
Yep.
Yom
When
Tov.
when my daughter goes to bed, I say lila tov, see you in the light. That's what I say.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
That's what I say every night. Lila tov, see you in the light. So.
All right, everybody.
All right,
Have a
shalom, y'all.
wonderful rest of your day. Shabbat shalom. Take care, and we'll see you all again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.